Welcome everyone to the Monday, October 23rd, 2023 regular school board meeting. Mrs. Cahill, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Grant?
Present.
Mrs. Hagedorn is absent. Mr. Carpenter?
Present.
Mr. Leeds?
Here.
And Mr. Fulham?
Present.
Would everyone please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1.3, any additions or deletions to the agenda?
None.
Thank you. Item 1.4, we have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds. Ms. Gale, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant?
Aye, motion carried. Section 2, discussion and comments from the board, moving to Mr. Leeds, 2.1 legislative.
Yeah, first of all, I'm going to have Robert, he's going to talk about Mr. Hall and what they talked about on House Bill 187. But I have a few things. The House Primary and Secondary Education Committee has a third hearing on House Bill 214, which would require each public school to adopt a policy regarding certain expectations related to the performance of staff member professional duties. Testifying in opposition to the bill was a Barb Wilson from the Rain City, so I don't know what they're after there, but evidently the school districts don't like it.
Mr. Leeds, that was what, House Bill 214?
House Bill 214. And then there's the committee also held a third hearing of House Bill 206, which would permit a school district to establish a policy that authorizes a superintendent to expel a student from public school for actions that endanger the health and safety of other students or school employees. So,
Can I do that already?
Yeah, that's
Crack the whip.
You do that now?
and then House, I don't know. I mean, it's evidently they're I don't know why they have to have a bill if we're going to do it, if we're doing it now. And then they've got a House Bill 147 that would change a teacher's licensure revocation, teachers' hiring practices and conduct for conduct unbecoming to a teaching profession. And then the House Higher Education Committee has a House Bill 183, which this is regarding single-sex bathroom access in primary and secondary schools and institutions of higher education. They had the third reading on that. The House Criminal Justice Committee has a House Bill 139, which would increase the penalties for assault if the victim is acting as a sports official or an assault is committed in retaliation for the victim's actions as a sports official. So that's primary for the officials, but I hope the chain gang is considered in that too. Okay, that's all I've got.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds. 2.2, Butler Tech.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board. This will be very brief today. Some updates. You guys all have the flyer here that is there. I want to point out on the first page the Project Life leadership team and all the information is on that. That is a phenomenal program. If you guys don't know much about that, but it does help people with learning disabilities learn life skills and hopefully enter the job force. So that is a program that continues to expand. We are in Hawaii, Alaska, several different states. So if you want more information on that, we have had Monroe students that have been through that program and continue to thrive. So look into that if you have a chance. Some events that I want to throw you your eyes to on the back. Thursday, October 26th, is the 10th Grade Academy Showcase Night. It's at D. Russell Lee. It's from 3 to 7, and that is the presentations that the students give that you guys have seen at our all board staff meeting. So this is the Sophomore Academy's first stab at that, and it's going to help them to learn public speaking and speak for a cause that they believe in. November 7th is our all-staff meeting at Butler Tech. It's at Lurie's Roadhouse. You guys could certainly come if you want, but not necessary. So that'll certainly be an interesting meeting as well. One thing that we are planning is we are planning a golf outing. We're looking at Walden Ponds, and that is for the benefit of the foundation. If you guys remember the race car that we did the last couple of years, that actually raised enough money that no students, or every student that had a need for money to help provide tools for their career path had the ability to do that. So if you donated to any of that, thank you very much. But also the golf outing, I expect it to be done in a Butler Tech way, so should be over the top, of course. But I would love it if we could at least get one foursome and hopefully some donations for some door prizes and stuff like that. So more on that when that comes available. I don't have a date yet. We literally just started planning this. So
As long as it's not winter
a couple
golf.
months ago. Yeah, it's going to be in the next spring. So, and then I think that's it. That's all I have. Any questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Guido.
Thank you.
Moving on to 2.3, finance.
We had a finance meeting this evening, and Holly gave us an explanation of the 20 mil floor, which was very good, and where we're at there and what's happening in the state. So, but there's nothing to be discussed tonight.
Good. All right. Thank you. 2.4, student achievement. For Debbie, Tim is stepping in.
I know, I'm excited. I get the honor of doing this. All right. So for October, the high school, the Ridley Brown fundraiser, which was a t-shirt sale, was a huge success. It raised $1,849 for the family. So great job to everybody for supporting Ridley and his family. Also, the East Butler County League of Women Voters spent time at Monroe High School, and 16 Monroe students registered to vote for the first time in the November election. So I guess the East Butler County League of Women's Voters spent time in different schools in Butler County, and Monroe had the most students register to vote. So good job, Hornets. It's excellent. And the
There was a high school we won't name, not too far away, with over 800 per class, and they had one kid.
One kid registered to vote.
We had 16. But we won't name that other high school.
Rhymes with.
Bearfield. It's because we registered to vote when we were 17.
Pretty awesome.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
They were very, very excited.
That's actually really great.
Yeah, it's great.
And they're coming back in January. So we're gonna get that crop that's after this graduation. We still got a bunch of kids that'll be able to be eligible for the next election.
That's good.
Yeah, 'cause there's a March election, right?
March.
Yeah, so
Not
cool.
November.
Excellent. Hopefully we have more than 16 registered in January, so that'd be great. The junior high, there are 2 student of the months. In 7th grade is Mr. Anthony Joseph. Mrs. Bogg, social studies, says, Anthony is an excellent candidate for student of the month. Anthony leads by example and strives for excellence. I can always count on Anthony to be doing the right thing and giving his best effort. Anthony is a highly motivated and is consistently working to improve himself. He shows up every day with a fantastic attitude and a smile. Anthony is very mature and embodies what it means to be a Hornet. Keep up the good work. And in 8th grade, Evan Treadway was Hornet of the Month, and Mr. Capper says about Evan, Evan has consistently brought a positive attitude to every class every single day. He is always excited to learn and engage with his fellow students. Evan is always kind to each person he interacts with each day. He brings a smile to everyone he interacts with. Evan has grown so much academically and continues to push himself each day to be the best that he can be. Evan is the definition of embracing the chase, standing up and owning it, better together, and relentless effort. Evan is more than deserving of this Student of the Month award. So congratulations to Anthony and Evan on Hornet of the Month. At the elementary school, our Students of the Month, this is a list here, so stick with me, and if I mess up anybody's name, I'm going to apologize. But apparently Missy tells me that that's the normal, so.
You got this.
All right, here we go. So stick with me here. Second grade, Parker Phillips, Brent O'Hara, Samuel Hodge, Rollins Carter, Elliot Burgess, Reed Burton, Emerson Notch, Turner Kessie, and Oakland Martin. I think I got through that one well. And the third grade, Samarpreet Kaur, Bradley Chang, Ryder Compton, Adeline Tanruther, Aveline Kaur, Adriana Kaur, Ellie Ryan, Valor Gaston, Will Howe. And the fourth grade, Caden Bradley, Bryson Herring, Miles Al Haugen, Owen Swafford, Elliot Likens, Braden Amis, I think I messed that one up, my bad, Braylon Jackson, and Gianna Jimenez. In the fifth grade, Braxton Augsburger, Jax Vega, Max Salazar, Amelia Hagedorn, that seems like a stretch, Jackson Williams, Kelsey Musgrave, Mila Heitmeyer, Gabby Duckworth, Colton Mercer. And in the sixth grade, Jaden Pence, Ayla Bell, Ian Craven, Jackson Hogan, Anwisha Mishra, Kayla Matug, I'm going to go with that, Jeremiah Townsend, and Madison Hancock. And I really like the one at the primary school. So, but first, congratulations to all the elementary school Hornet of the Month. Okay, so the primary school one I thought was really cool. It's different, so I think this is really great. So I'll read it here what the recognition that oftentimes means the most is when our other students are kind to one another. And what a better time to learn how to be kind and reach out to others than at a young age. We have 4 extra special kindergartners. This year at Monroe Primary, there is a new social communication room that has students who are nonverbal and have unique challenges when communicating. These 4 kindergartners have been selected and given permission from their parents to play on a smaller playground several times a week with students in a social communication room. It has warmed all of our hearts watching students bring happiness to other students while at the same time learning firsthand about being respectful and kind to others. So those 4 students are Paisley Cram, Tilly McGorry, Parker Perrin, and Maylee Combs. So I think that's a really cool program.
Very good. You did a good job.
Yeah,
Good job, Tim.
Thanks. I'm pretty good at reading sometimes.
even did good on the names.
How long you been practicing?
Way too long, Tom. Way too long. But yeah.
All right, good. Great student achievements. Moving on to 2.5, MEA. Anyone from MEA? No? All right. We'll move on to section 3, communication.
At this time, we'll call Mr. Prohaska up. He's got a special recognition.
Good evening. Right here. It is my privilege to announce to the school board, treasurer, superintendent, and the general public that Monroe High School was notified by the National Merit Scholarship Corporation that we have a commended student in the 2024 National Merit Scholarship Program. About 34,000 commended students throughout the nation are being recognized for their exceptional academic promise. Although they will not continue in the 2024 competition for the National Merit Scholarship Awards, commended students placed among the top 50,000 students who entered the 2024 competition by taking the 2022 PSAT/National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. A spokesperson from the committee said, Those being named commended students have demonstrated outstanding potential for academic success. They represent a valuable national resource. Recognizing their accomplishments as well as the key role their schools play in academic development is vital to the advancement of educational excellence in our nation. We hope that this recognition will help broaden their educational opportunities and encourage them as they continue their pursuit of that academic success. Further, from the Monroe perspective, I would like to point out that our commended student is a first-generation college student. She's driven, independent, she's an advocate for herself, and is always looking for a new academic challenge and opportunity, and she's pretty much at the top of her class. So I'm very excited to announce this letter of commendation is awarded to Ingrid Escalante. Congratulations. We're going to want you up there. I'll get out of the way. Just step up here.
Congratulations. Awesome. Great job.
Great job. I don't want to be next to you.
He said he's going to stand next to me.
Great job, congratulations.
I'll hang on. Go ahead.
Get in here.
Okay, act like you like each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Okay, everybody look at that. Go ahead. Good? Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Working hard.
Head out to the soccer game. See,
All right, and for extra credit, you have to stay for the whole meeting. You're free to go. Yep, thank you.
Super.
All right, moving on to item 3.2, comments from the public, seeing none?
Nope, we have one. Oh,
Okay. I don't have his sheet. Mr. Guido,
did you fill out a sheet, Mr. Gainer?
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brett Guido, I live at 175 Sackett Drive here in Monroe. Wanted to briefly talk to you guys about the tax issue that's upcoming, and it's everywhere in the paper. So I have been to and I have seen in the paper, I've seen online, a lot of the comments coming from Nancy Nix, from our legislators, regarding this tax issue that's going to hit all of our taxpayers here locally. Monroe is the highest taxed city in the county with this. I think that's shameful what's happening right now with that. My biggest concern is how they're throwing it at the feet of the school districts around. If you listen to their comments, they're talking about how did we get here, what happened, and then immediately go back to how much of the tax dollars go to the school district, and talk about the levies that are used to fund the school district. I think what's lost in those conversations is that we've said it for years that our current tax model has been unconstitutional for 29 years. It's almost like a cliche that we say, but it's not really a cliche because it has real impacts, and all of our residents here in Monroe are about to see really the impact of that. While I applaud Thomas Hall's efforts to pass temporary reform, it's not permanent. Even if this passes through the Senate, his bill that he's introduced in the House, if the companion bill is passed, it is only a 3-year fix. It doesn't really fix our problem. So my recommendation is that Monroe local schools, as well as every other school district in Butler County, band together and really push for true reform, which is what has been promised to every school district here for years, which is to really overhaul and fix the funding model for public schools in Ohio. Get them off of the taxpayer mandate and fund it the way it should be funded. If the tax dollars are too high for residents, I'm a homeowner here, I agree, I don't want my taxes to go up. Let's find another way to really do that. and fund us in a constitutional way. So we had came together a few years ago, every school district, and really took up a cause to do. And I highly recommend that this Board of District adopt a plan and really work with the legislators to finally fix our school funding model. That's it.
Thank you. Very good.
Great, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to 3.3, superintendent's update.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. First, I want to talk about, just to update, we are starting a new student staff recognition program here in Monroe, and it'll be a quarterly student staff of the quarter. The first one is going to be Tuesday, November 7th. I think originally, when I sent out the dates, it was the 8th, but there's, I believe it's a choir concert or something that was a conflict that day, so it is November 7th, which is a Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. in the auditorium. Students have been selected, principals are notifying them. I'll follow up with a formal letter, and we will have our program in the auditorium. I will get detailed instructions to all of you prior to that date. It's very simple, but it'll be a very nice recognition program for our students and staff. This next one is a little unusual. We have on Monday, April 8th, is a total eclipse in Ohio. And it is the first one since 1806. So that, we've had other eclipse events here over the last whatever years, but this is a total eclipse. I knew you were going to say that. Somebody's going to say that. And it is, unfortunately for us, it happens at an unusual time. It's at, the total darkness period is supposed to be sometime between 3 and 3:10, which is, of course, right in the middle of our dismissal time. But the entire window of at least partial darkness is between 1 and 5. Now, I'm sharing this because we've had discussions about what do we do, you know, if we tell junior high boys, don't go out and look at the eclipse, so that's the first thing they'll do. As a former junior high boy, that's what I would have done. So we've been talking about what do we do to, you know, for our kids. Well, we had a superintendent's meeting a couple weeks ago, a county superintendent's meeting, and someone from the emergency management, I forget what their title was, in Ohio, they talked about, they've been planning for 3 years, not because yes, the eclipse is a unique event, but it has become such because it's so rare, it has become a huge event, not just across the nation, but across the world. And that we are in the viewing ban, some of our parks are. He described the event as a Taylor Swift concert on steroids, that it could be total gridlock on that day. So I don't know if any of you saw that Hamilton Schools has already put in for a calamity day, just because they warned us that our kids, if they're leaving on buses, could get stranded in traffic. People from all over the world drive just to the area, stop in the street and wait. So what I'm saying is I don't have a recommendation yet. I'm going to work with, you know, some of the other superintendents in the area. We may come up with some activities for kids to do during that day and make it a teacher work day or something, but I would like to have a recommendation for you guys by November, just so parents, if there is no school for kids,
We can plan.
They can plan.
What was the date again?
April 8th, Monday, April 8th. So, unfortunately, it's not during our spring break, which would have made it a lot easier. But,
Yeah.
So, the next thing I wanted to talk to you about is the property value, which Mr. Guido just spoke about. And Holly is going to talk about it a little bit, I believe, with the funding and how it is affected with our state foundation money. I know that our local auditors talked about maybe we should not accept all of the money, but when I met with her and we talked about it, she agreed with us that our state foundation money is based upon our local value. And as our property value go up, our state foundation money will come down. So if we were to give that money back, it would be like a sort of a double whammy. We would lose state foundation money and the local funding. And Holly, I believe is going to share some of that tonight, and she has a really good job of showing how out into the future, as our property values increase, our state foundation money comes down. With that being said, we do look to have an increased revenue here locally. And I do think that until House Bill 187, Tom said he was going to refer to me to talk about it. Your guess is as good as mine as if that is going to pass or not. It would provide some immediate relief, and I've been in conversations with Representative Hall. It did pass in the House. At that Friday that we found it had passed, we heard it was going to pass in the Senate without any meaningful amendments and very quickly. Even if that does happen, the first round of tax bills will not be affected, because that would not be enough time. So the first round of tax bills would go out with the full 41%. And if House Bill 187 does come in effect, the second half taxes would be adjusted for that. Well, since then, we've heard that maybe 187 is dead in the Senate, and they're not interested in it. They talked about other reform. At the meeting that Holly and I attended, was that just last week?
Yeah.
The county auditor, Matt Nolan, is on the state committee for reform. And I went up and talked to him after that and volunteered to be on that committee. I'll do whatever. I said, because they've talked about reducing the 20-mil floor, which would hurt all school districts, and it would kill a lot of the smaller districts that is their base for all of their funding. They've talked about putting a cap on it. I don't know what the solution is necessarily, because this is a huge hike and it is a burden on our local taxpayers. But I have volunteered, and he said he would be happy to have me on that committee. So hopefully we do have a voice to talk about some true reform, as Brett talked about earlier. So the last piece of this is to give some immediate relief to our taxpayers. I am going to recommend that we suspend for 1 year until we find out what is going on with all of this, our pay-to-play fees for our students. That would give some immediate money relief to our students at the secondary level, and then sit down and look at, between now and the start of next school year, really look at all our school fees to see if we can roll some of that back. That would affect all of our kids and all of our families. Again, this would be, I'm recommending it to do it just for 1 year, and we can revisit it in 1 year to see, maybe at that time they've made some adjustment, but I am going to notify parents here shortly as they will start collecting the winter sports, but to do it for 1 calendar year, so it would be winter sports, spring sports, fall sports of next year, so. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is with the local township trustee race, the school has kind of gotten in the middle of the part of the argument about our current land that is used for farming. And Mr. Leeds was helpful to get me the average, because we've heard all kinds of numbers thrown out there about how much money we could get per acre to rent that out. And the average price in Butler County is somewhere between $155 and $165 per acre. Am I correct there, Mr. Leeds?
Yeah.
So at the high end, that's just a little over $5,000. So we're not talking about a huge amount of money here. I actually spoke with a representative from the Matson family this morning, because I have been in contact in conversations with John Graft at Butler Tech. When the Matsons donated almost $1 million of land to the district, their primary concern was they wanted the land to be used for the school and for educational purposes. And so when I shared with her that we were considering ending the farming contract and moving the use of that land at Butler Tech. She was very happy and excited. She said that is exactly what my family would want. The use of the land, I have a meeting scheduled later this week with Mr. Graft over at Butler Tech to try to firm up some ideas. So hopefully by November, I'll have a better understanding of what they're going to be using the land for and make a recommendation to the board at that time.
Okay.
Because if we do move the use over to Butler Tech, we would have to give notification to the current family that farms that land.
Is that a 30-day notice or 60-day notice?
Depends on which contract you look at. So it would, if we did it by November, it would be plenty of time prior to the spring planting season.
Okay.
So, okay.
So you're looking at November for the pay-to-play and also the land use agreement?
Pay-to-play would be, I'm going to send something out immediately. That doesn't take board action. That's just a recommendation. And land use, yes.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
any questions?
No?
None? Nope. All right, thank you. All right, moving on to section 4, board president's business. Board president recommends approval of the amendment to Holly Cahall's contract, designating her as the consultant to the incoming treasurer of Monroe Local School District effective November 1st, 2023. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham. Any questions? Okay, Mrs. Kale, please call the roll.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant?
Aye, motion carried. And moving on to section 5, treasurer's business. Mrs. Cahill, you are up.
Okay. I'm asking the board to approve the minutes from the special meetings held on September 6th, 2023, and the special meeting held on September 20th, 2023, and the regular meeting held on September 25th, 2023.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham. Any questions? No. Mrs. Cahill, please call the roll.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant?
Aye, motion carried. Item 5.2.
Next, I'm asking you to approve Treasurer's financial report for September 30th, 2023.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds. All right, floor is yours.
Okay, I made copies and shared with you a monthly financial report, and I'd like to point out some information about our property taxes and talk about the current, what's happening currently and what has happened in the past. Okay, so I want to talk to you about what changes in real estate have happened or have occurred and are projected. How does the valuation impact, the changes in valuation impact the tax rates? Does the valuation change the district revenue and total revenue? How has the district real estate revenue impacted the total revenue, and how does district revenue compare to inflation, the CPI? Okay, can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, so just starting from the basics, we have your home value, and 35% of your home value is what is taxed. So there's also, so it's multiplied by an effective tax rate, and that's called the mills, we call it millage, but that's a multiplier on 35% of your value. And then, so you get your tax bill. There's also some state-paid reimbursements, like homestead rollback. There's money from the state that kind of supplements that. And then you get your tax bill. Okay, go ahead. This one. Okay. Is that, okay. So these are the multipliers, and they're called mills. But the inside, there's something called inside mills. And that is shared by Lemon Township and Butler County and the school. So we have 3, and altogether they equal 10. And we have around 5 mills in that, those inside mills, they never change. And then we have fixed rate levies. And this can't go down below, well, this and this can't go down below 20 mills. It's stuck at 20. But these fixed rate mills were voted. So they're voted at time to help operating expenses, and then they eventually, they're an effective rate and they stay on the books and they reduce, but they can't go down past 20. And then we have substitute levies, and those substitute levies have to generate a certain amount of money. So one is 2.3 million and one is 3.6 million. And it's a fixed amount, and when property values go up, the mills will go down because you need less to meet those fixed sum amounts. And those fixed sum, the substitutes don't impact the 20 mil floor. Some people just have, or some schools just have the voted and it's 20 mils. But we have the 20 mils, and then we have these additional. And we passed those when we were in emergency, and it helped us get out of emergency. Okay, go to the next slide, please. So overall, this presentation is showing that when home values go up, then the multiplier does go down. So that's some benefit to our homeowners and to our community. That's just the way our taxing structure is. Okay, so this shows historical values and our historical rates. So this is our, let's see, let me look at that side. Yeah, these are our property values. So in 13, you saw overall they went down, but then mostly they go up. And then we have, every 3 years, we get an increase based on the sales and that kind of thing. And then, so it's really every 6 years, and then 3 years is an adjustment. So in 6 years, it went up 18%, and I remember that. That was with the previous auditor there, and now we have 41% increase. And this is, the value of property and how much it's being adjusted because of the sales. But then if you look at our tax rates, every time the values go down, the tax rates go up, but then wait, let me look at that. The tax rates go down when the values go up. You can see our tax rates have been adjusted down because we've been a growing district and our values have been going up. So they have been traditionally being reduced. And that's a good thing for a homeowner.
Is that number over there, is that 8% in 23, tax rate going down?
8.43.
8.43? Okay.
No, the far right.
Far right, the tax rate in
Yes, I'm sorry,
2023?
that's little.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's going down
So it's
8.43.
You barely see it. Yeah, and then it's going to really go down in
I was helping
23.
you out.
I appreciate that.
So it's an inverse relationship between that, but we have had our tax rates go down. Okay. Okay, so again, residential agriculture is what we're talking about now. And this also shows as our residential values increase. And this is in the future, we're projecting, and it's based on expected inflation rates. And I'll share with you what they used for that. But in 26, we're expecting our values to go up and our tax rates to go down. And these are the percentages, and it's based on historical inflation and a study of trends in inflation over years. So, okay, and this shows our fixed rate levies. See how they go down. This is our the 20 mil multiplier, that a portion of ours are 20 mils and they just stay at that. They will not change. But as far as the fixed rate, they're projected to go down because, again, the values of homes are going up. And also our full voted rate is expected to go down because we saved the 20 mil. Wait, let's see, this 20, let me look at that again. Full voted rate is going down because it's the total rate, and, I mean, it's all of ours, and some of it's made up of multipliers that will go down when the values go up, so it's the total. So you can see overall, the total will go down because of anticipated increases in property values. Okay, see that one? Okay, thank you. Okay, this is total, the district revenue compared to local tax revenue. So this is all our revenue, total all, and this is, you can see this is starting in 2022, 23, 24, how our foundation money from the state is starting to pick up here. I mean, it was still going up a little bit, but it's relatively flat. But then it's going up because we're getting uncapped. And this is our property tax revenue.
Yeah, just to be clear on that, that uprise is really kind of materialized because we've been capped. It really would have been a
Yes,
little more
right,
gradual than that
right.
uptick in
Because it's
22.
supposed to be over, you know,
So
5 years.
we're just catching up to the trend line that we should have been at.
I knew you would say that,
Yeah.
yeah. That's right, I mean, somebody on this panel would say that. Yeah, we're just catching up.
Just catching up.
Absolutely. And, but you can see how property taxes have been
It's
fairly
going to come down,
flat.
the taxes are going
I
up.
mean, they've not gone up, you know, I mean, a little bit each year, but now we're going to see a big jump here because of the value of homes going up.
Well, when that goes up, the foundation's coming down.
Yeah, well, you're right, it may not go up as fast. I mean, you can see, well, like right there, it's kind of not continuing right there, it's going a little bit down. So, it will affect it. Okay, thank you. Okay, and this talks about tax rate revenue versus inflation. So this is our 10-year historic average annual change in revenue compared to inflation. So average annual growth in local property taxes here. This is growth in total revenue. So our growth in top property has increased. And then inflation has been 6.37. So these have not, you know, kept up with inflation. This is the 10-year historic average. I thought this was kind of eye-opening when you know, because we try to keep our expenses are going to go up because of inflation, but our increase in revenue has not kept up with that. But and then the projected average growth in local property tax revenue is the first column. The average annual growth in total revenue is a little bit more, and the CPI rate of inflation is 3.66. She said, so if you read below, it says the projected annual inflation rate is calculated using an average of historic pre-pandemic levels for comparison purposes, and local property taxes can increase or decrease due to changes in effective tax rates, property values, and collection rates. And that's what we just explained, that even though home values are going up, our multiplier is going down. So that's one good thing, but and it's still, you know, there will be inflation. It does, and then we just had this big jump in inflation. But the annual rate is 6.37, but historically, property tax has not kept up with it. This one, when you look at the data. These are better numbers to look at. I was kind of relieved to see the projections, you know, because we've just been through some big jumps lately, you know. Okay. All right, what's our daily cost? So if you look at all our data, Monroe local schools, it's $69 per student per day. So, and if you multiply that, that's our total expenses. But so it costs to educate a student. And when you look at property taxes compared to overall, and I showed that in a previous slide, but this is a pie chart, it shows that federal, state, it's a bigger percentage than our local property. So that's encouraging. I mean, we want that to be more, and we're owed more from the past. But if just putting it in perspective, this still, it's a smaller portion than what we get from the state, and it continues. Hopefully it will continue to be a smaller share as the state kicks in what they're supposed to pay. So I think that's all I have, that's it. So on any questions, it just kind of puts it in perspective, and it costs to educate kids. And it costs to provide space for kids. And so, anyway, let me know if you have any questions later. Okay, or
Thanks, Holly.
anytime.
Thanks, Holly.
Thanks, Holly.
Thank you.
Okay.
Did you also are you reviewing this with us as well, as a part of this? Or
Oh, no, that's just for your information.
for
I mean,
information? No. Okay.
There's some key points.
Save everybody some
Thank
tax
you.
money,
That's
not
it.
just the people
Okay.
who have kids.
All right. Any questions regarding 5.2? Oh, did you? Oh, no, everything's completed with 5.2?
Yes, and we will have the forecast in November, and that's when we'll have numbers set in stone that we can use for comparison, how we are doing compared to the forecast.
Okay.
And what I shared with you all is just how we're doing compared to last year in revenue and expenses.
Okay, so November will be more,
That's right, that's correct.
okay. Any questions with 5.2?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Mrs. Gale, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant?
Aye, motion carried. Item 5.3.
I'm asking the board to approve the bond fund for September 2023. Bond fund report.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds.
David.
Is all the money where it's supposed to be?
Yes, it is, yes.
Okay.
Oh, we should have had our visitor ask that question.
Any questions regarding the bond fund? Mrs. Gale, please call the roll.
Okay. Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn? Aye. And Mr. Grant?
Aye, motion carried. Item 5.4.
And Ms. Hagedorn, you arrived about 6:47, is that correct? I was trying to look.
Yep.
Yes. Well, now it's 6:40. Did you come at like 6:45?
6:42.
Okay, 6:42, thank you. Okay, that's it, I'm asking the board to approve, you asked for 5.4 about?
Yes.
Okay. I'm asking the board to approve a fiscal 2024 wellness grant, which is given by Butler Health Plan, and also the fund to manage that grant.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn. Any questions on 5.4? Mrs. Gale, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn? Aye. Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant?
Aye, motion carried. Item 5.5.
Okay. I'm asking the board to approve the Behavioral Helps Pilot School Grant from Wright State and the fund to record it.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds. Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Any questions on 5.5? Mrs. Gale, please call the roll.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn? Aye. And Mr. Grant?
Aye, motion carried. 5.6.
I'm asking that $1,000 be paid to Heather Wiley out of this Behavioral Health Pilot School Grant. She participated in the program on behalf of for Wright State.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn. Any questions? All right, Mrs. Gale, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant?
Aye, motion carried. Item 5.7.
I'm asking the board to approve a request from the class of 2024 to retain $2,500 and transfer $21,316 $1.81 to the class of 2025.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds.
Okay.
Any questions on 5.7? Mrs. Gale, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Mr. Fulham?
Oh, Mr. Fulham, sorry.
Aye.
And Mr. Grant.
Aye. Motion carried. All right. Thank you very much, Mrs. Gale.
Thank you.
Moving on to Section 6, Superintendent's Personnel Business, item 6.1.
All right, my section's pretty brief tonight. Recommended to hire the following employees.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Any questions? Mrs. Cahill, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant.
Aye. Motion carried. Item 6.2.
Recommended the board approve the following extracurricular contracts.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds. Any questions? Mrs. Cahill, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant.
Aye. Motion carried. Item 6.3.
It's recommended the board approve the following salary degree increases.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn. Thank you, Mr. Fulham. Any questions? All right, congratulations to those four. All right, Mrs. Cahill, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant.
Aye. Motion carried. And item 6.4.
It's recommended the board approve the following employee as an intern through Butler Tech for the remainder of the school year. He is actually a Monroe student, finishing up the technology program at Butler Tech, so he's going to be working with us, paid by Butler Tech, but we just want him approved as because he's in the building every day working.
Okay. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn. Any questions?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
this is really cool.
Yep, it is awesome.
He's a good kid.
So what, just briefly, what will he be doing as an intern?
He actually has worked for us, is it the past 2 summers? Is Jesse back there? I know last summer, I'm pretty sure the last 2 summers, he does every break fix, I don't know what all they have to do with the laptops in the summer.
So whatever's needed.
He does everything. He'll be like Logan's right-hand man.
Okay, very cool.
Yep.
Very cool. All right, may I have a motion, please? Or we already have a motion. Mrs. Cahill, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye. You got me all mixed up.
Okay, Mr. Fulham says aye. And then Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
And Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Buskirk. Before we move to Section 7, adjournment, we will do comments from the board. We'll start with Mr. Leeds down there on the end.
I got a question. When are we going to get back in the facilities, having facilities meetings?
We are currently, I think I shared this in one of my weekly bulletins here recently. We are kind of in a holding pattern until we get word back from OFCC where we are with the percentage on the high school. We had them come in and tour the building, and they agree that, the repurposing would be a lot more difficult if we were to build a primary and turning this into a middle school, high school. We're also waiting on the site surveying information from Kleiningers to look at the different site locations of where a potential school would be, and the traffic pattern, traffic study for that. And so once we get that back, we're probably going to get that committee together here, hopefully before the winter break, so.
Cool, good, good. On the other hand, I'd like to congratulate all the fall sports that's going on and all the kids participating. It's fantastic to see that many kids come out, everything. And I'm glad to hear that we're close to getting this farmland taken care of. Get that done.
Yes.
But, and looking forward to seeing what Butler Tech's gonna do to take care of a lot of that. And I think it'll be fantastic. So, other than that, I'm gonna pass it on because he's getting ready to go.
All right, time for the high fives from around the Hive. High five to the Monroe High School National Honor Society members and newest inductees. It's a tremendous honor to be a part of NHS, which recognizes students of high character, leadership, service, and academics. Congratulations, and thank you for representing yourselves as well as the district so well. High fives to our tremendous bus drivers and staff who keep our kiddos safe to and from school every day and activities. Last week was National School Bus Safety Week, and a great reminder of how fortunate we are to have stability in our transportation department. I have a daughter on a bus every afternoon, so this directly affects not just me as a board member, but also as a father. Thanks to each of our drivers for putting the safety of our students at the forefront of everything you do. High five to our athletic and band boosters. The lead up and throughout the entirety of the fall season is extremely busy, as we all know. And so I want to personally say thank you to those who volunteer their time to ensure that our students have a fun and smooth start to the year. I encourage more members of the community to find ways to get involved with our boosters and would be happy to personally introduce you if you're interested in helping out now or in the future. And finally, I want to give a high five to our treasurer, Holly Cahall, who will be retiring at the end of the year. Holly, you have done a masterful job in directing our district over the years, from fiscal emergency to financial health. You've held that chair for a long time, and you've been awarded at the highest levels for your work. Your team has kept Monroe stable, receiving numerous flawless audits. You exemplify what it means to be a Hornet, and I thank you for all that you have done for the district. As you transition the duties of treasurer to Mrs. Moore, take pride in all that you have accomplished. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I wish you all the very best as you enter your next chapter.
Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you.
Is that it?
That's it.
Mr. Carpenter?
I don't know how you follow that up. I know we just finished out the first quarter, so congratulations to all the students. I'm sure they were really excited to get their report cards. I know I always was when I got my report card. Tried to hide it so Mom couldn't see it. But now they're online, so you can't hide it anymore. That's too bad. These poor kids are missing out.
I forgot mine.
The dog ate it for me. As soon as I walked in, the dog ate my report card. It's crazy. I don't know. That's crazy. But and I want to wish luck. I know the boys soccer team takes on Beaver Creek tomorrow night, so I think we'll get them this time. They got us last time, but I think we got them this time. The girls soccer team, they play tonight? Oh, yeah, let's go. Okay.
Kicking off now.
Well, we gotta hurry up then. And then Andrew Wilcox will be running in the regional cross-country race. So, good luck to Andrew. And volleyball. Yeah, volleyball's continuing tomorrow night. This is great. I'm glad that we have so many kids still playing fall sports right now. So just good luck to everybody. Keep going. But Debbie, your turn. You should be ready to go, Debbie. You had this big break and everything.
I'm ready to roll.
I know.
I'd like to say congratulations to Ingrid Escalante for the SAT National Merit Scholarship. I apologize, I missed that earlier, but I want to recognize that that's fabulous and doing a great job. So I wanted just to recognize her again. I also wanted to congratulate all the seniors that are playing in the fall sports, because I know, we've all mentioned that some of the sports are still going. So just take it in every moment and just enjoy it as you finish out the fall season before winter sports begin. So just enjoy every moment. I'd like to say to the students to keep studying, keep going as we head into the holiday season. Don't slack off, because your grades are important and they do matter. And sometimes holidays can be a distraction, so try not to let that happen. I'd also like to give a shout out to Eric Silverman, who is not here, I don't think. Oh, he's at the soccer game. Where he should be is at the soccer game. I know firsthand, and a lot of parents can know this as well, on Friday nights when there's away games, the pickup in the back here can be kind of hectic with all the parents in their cars picking up their students and the buses arriving all at the same time, and it was a little chaotic. And he came up with a solution that the marching band gets picked up and dropped off at the front of the building now instead of the back, so that parent pickup is at in the front, and the football team's in the back, and it's working out really well. So I just wanted to give a shout out to him for,
a good idea.
that was, I'm not sure if that was his idea, but he organized it, and it's working out really well, and I'm sure that some of the parents are appreciative of that, and the bus drivers as well, because it was tight, cars waiting for pickup, and trying to get the buses to squeeze through, and getting the students off. It was a little chaotic for a bit, so it was a great solution, and it's working out. I think that's all I have.
Okay, all right, very good.
I forgot something.
Go ahead. Go ahead, steal my thunder.
I know. Well, if you're gonna mention it.
Go ahead, it's all you.
No, so I forgot. I do want to wish the thespian troupe the best of luck. They have their play coming up the first week of November, so tickets are limited. I learned that the hard way. But I'm sure it's going to be fantastic, so I just want to wish them the best of luck and go break a leg.
You learned the hard way. Are there not tickets available?
No.
What?
They're going to try to add a additional.
Okay, whoever's in charge of that, please. I didn't realize ticket sales occurred, and apparently I missed out too. Maybe I can stand in the corner.
Does my SWBL pass work for that?
It doesn't.
This is where we need that little box on the side, like in the Muppets, and we get them up there.
You know what, I'd just like to do a shout out. Sorry, I'm busting your party, but I'd like to do a shout out for the people for doing sellouts. Hello, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That there's sellouts and that we might need to add a night.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Ticketmaster bought them all.
All right, Dave, it's your turn.
Well, you guys always take everything I was going to say, so I'm just going to echo what everything you guys have said. And I honestly, the end of first quarter, I think school just started, didn't it? Like, I mean, it seems like it. Time is moving way too fast, so it needs to slow up just a tad. But I'm sure you guys don't mind that it's moving a little forward now. With that being said, I have really nothing to add. You guys touch base on everything. So keep up the great work to everyone sitting over there. We appreciate all your efforts. And with that, I will make a motion to adjourn today's meeting at 7:02 p.m. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second.
I thought you were just going to sit here.
I'm just going to stare at you. It's Holly's last meeting, so I'm just going to let it just ride out.
Oh, I'll be observing.
Yes, exactly. All right, Mrs. Cahill, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Go ahead.
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant?
Aye. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Okay. Great.
All right.